day 1033. It's 10 o'clock at night on Sunday. I'm about to go to bed, but I was putting together this whole thing that I'm going to teach the Warriors tomorrow because I am upping the standards of our morning calls. They're already great, but God gave me inspiration of how to structure them now. And so I just finished the graphics for it. So this week we're going to be focused. It's basically a sermon series. Like, pastors have sermon series. Well, this sermon series this week is Victory is in the Valley. And we're going to be going over 1 Samuel 17, 1 through 3, which this talks about the introduction to the story of David and Goliath. And then I've got an illustration to show the army of Israel was on one mountain, the army of the Philistines was on the other mountain, and in the valley, that's where David and Goliath were going to fight. And talking about the valleys are the dark places, those are the scary places. And then that leads to the verse. So we've got the story of the Israelites and the Philistines, and we've got the actual verse, Psalm 23:4, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And what does this actually mean? So we're going to break this down in Hebrew. So the shadow of death actually means distress, extreme danger, deep darkness, the place of the dead. And what it mostly means is the grave. And so even though we walk through the valley of the grave, we walk through death, we live in this world that is full of death because it's full of sin, and the penalty for sin is death. And so we're walking through this life, through this world of darkness. And so I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to go through and ask individual questions. What are the valleys that you're walking through right now? Where's there distress, extreme spiritual danger, deep darkness in your life, a place of dead, the grave? What are things in your life that are dead that you need to let go of? The next question, what are the valleys in your life that you're trying to avoid? What are those valleys that you don't want to walk into because you don't want to fight that battle? And then the last question, what victories are waiting for you in those valleys? So on the other side of the distress and the danger and the darkness and the death, what's on the other side of that valley, or of that challenge, of that darkness? And so the way I'm going to structure it now for every one of these calls is we have a theme. So this week, Victories in the Valley. That looks so freaking good. I'm very proud of myself for that. And then we have the story, and then we have the verse. And so there's the theme, the story, and then the verse that ties into it, and then the application, the activity. Like, how do we actually make this tangible? How do we make this verse tangible? How do we make this story tangible? So we're taking the story of David and Goliath with the verse of the Bible. Oop, that's not the verse. Here we go. So we're taking the story of David and Goliath with the verse of Psalm 23:4, and then we're applying it with the activities, and this is what's going to make it super memorable. So it's going to be so good. I know it's going to be good. It's just like, if we could learn the Bible like this, if we could learn the Word of God like this, where there's story, verse, and then application, I mean, how could you ever forget it? How could you ever forget it? So I'm very excited about this. This is the revelation God gave me the other day when I went to Starbucks with just a blank notebook. And and it just looks so good.